that's when it's gone too far. And so, you know, the union is supposed to represent the employees and negotiate with the city council and the city manager to come to some agreement. But when the council members take and become beholden to the union, I don't want, even being a union member, I don't want my elected officials being beholden to anybody but the citizens. That's it. Their job is, my union's job is to work for my wage and benefits and working conditions. The elected official's job is to take and look for the efficiency of operating the government. So now, what do we have? That the last election, or the election before, the employees union, that from the numbers we saw, spent, for Maplewood, spent $150,000 on that election to get John Nephew and who was it, James Lannis elected, and then they have Kathy Juneman and Rosbach and Copen. Now these are all people that are endorsed by Ask Me. All right, so what is the problem with that? Well, the employees up there, and I'm going to read these salaries up there. The payroll up at Maplewood is, and I've got the printout of this, is $500,000 every 2 weeks. $500,000 every 2 weeks. They have about 165 employees, give or take a couple. And so we look at the, if you have that kind of wage, and so you have 26 weeks a year, $500,000 a week, that's $13 million a year for payroll. Now, by the intervention on behalf of Ask Me, the John Nephews, the Will Rosbach, the James Lannis, the Kathy Juneman, gave out 4 raises that totaled, over 4 years, totaled 12%. Now, you take 12% of 13 million, and you have 1.56 million per year in new salary for the employees. Now those salaries, government salaries or government employees, they have wonderful careers, average probably 30 years with the government. So that 1.56 million per year that they increased wages up there for 30 years comes out to $46 million over the lifetime of an employee. Now that 46 million came about by an investment of 150,000 to get certain people elected up there. So now I want you to understand. Did we have a call, by the way, that we lost, or did you forget to hang up? Okay, they forgot to hang up. I want to read to you. This is what these people, you know, we have an election coming up now, and John Nephew and Marv Copen, and this is what they're pledging to, in order to get Ask Me endorsement, you know, that $150,000 that the employees union will spend to try to get them elected. And so I want you to remember the alternative choice up there is Rebecca Cave and Bob Cardinal, former mayor. So, but this is what Nephew and Copen will, when they take the endorsement or agree to take the endorsement from Ask Me, this is what they have to agree to do. And you ask yourself, are they looking out for the taxpayer, or are they looking out for enriching the government employees up there? So here's the questions. This is the course, we always get this material. This is the Ask Me Console 5, and for Ask Me endorsement. Additional resources, this is what they need to say they'll support. Additional resources required to maintain public services. How will you ensure a levy that promotes public employees? I'm just reading, this is within the context of everything. How will you use your political capital to promote public employees? Would you accept a campaign contribution from Ask Me political committees? So, this is the things that they agree to, and they have to go up there, and I call it selling their soul. I mean, if I go in there, I'm saying that, I'm here to tell you that I will sit down and negotiate with you. My job is to look out for the taxpayers and the citizens, and your job is to represent the employees. But I'm not going to compromise my fiduciary duties to the taxpayers. So we'll negotiate to make sure that the city keeps operating, but I'm not going to get elected by making these commitments to assure you that I will increase the debt $46 million over the life of your employees. So there you go, folks. So now let's take and look at some of this. I want to read through here, and you just I don't know these names. I'm just going to say, who are these people? I'm just going to read names after names. I've got sheet after sheet here of these people that are making 70, 90, 100, 150,000. Here, I'm just going to read here. Charles R. All. This doesn't include benefits now. So just remember, this doesn't include any benefits. Benefits are a third above this. $5,358 every 2 weeks. James Antonym, $5,800 every 2 weeks. Larry Farr, $2,400 every 2 weeks. David John, $2,885 every 2 weeks. Teresa Ramox, $3,030 every 2 weeks. Gail Ballman, $4,200 every 2 weeks. Ask yourself, would you like these kind of salaries? And remember, if you're a department head, you get $500 a month car allowance, and you get the if you're away somewhere, you get that $35 a day undocumented, no receipt required food allowance. All right, let's Deborah Schmidt, $2,700 every 2 weeks. David Quam, $4,200, $4,188 every 2 weeks. Philip Powell, $2,900 every 2 weeks, not including benefits. Benefits are about another third above that. All right, let's take the phone call. I'm going to keep reading some of these. Caller, are you with me? Question or comment?
Comment.
Yes.
Hi, Bob. This is Joanne Parsons calling. I watched the city council meeting, and yes, you couldn't hear a word you had to say, but Mark Bradley was perfect.
Okay.
He was perfect.
We need a little more sound out here, by the way. Go ahead, Joanne.
Yeah, he was perfect. Mark Bradley on the Maplewood City Council meeting.
Yes.
The only one we couldn't hear was you. They cut you off. Mark was fine.
So you couldn't hear me there,
and you could hear him.
Okay, but you couldn't hear me.
No, not a word. So I thought I'd let you know.
Yeah, thank you.
And by the way, the semis are still coming.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Yes, let's see. There was a couple more issues I talked about. I talked about the Gladstone development, you know, the single lane bridge they're putting down there on Frost Avenue, and we'll get the whole context. Okay, Dave Tamala, 4,900 every 2 weeks. Clint Abel, 3,167 every 2 weeks. Mark Aldridge, $3,186 every 2 weeks. Lon Bakey, $2,994 every 2 weeks. Paul Bartz, $3,399 every 2 weeks. Stanley Beldy, $3,063 every 2 weeks. Marky Benjamin, $2,761 every 2 weeks. Brian Beardeman, $4,200 every 2 weeks. John Bowl, $3,256 every 2 weeks. Daniel Busak, $3,300 every 2 weeks. Kevin Coffey, $3,052 every 2 weeks. Kerry Cordy, $3,575 every 2 weeks. Joseph Demoling, $2,700 every 2 weeks. Richard Dobler, $3,886 every 2 weeks. Michael Douglas, $4,400 every 2 weeks. Virginia Erickson, $2,900 every 2 weeks. Timothy Floor, $3,574 every 2 weeks. John Fraser, $3,165 every 2 weeks. Derek Fritzy, $3,093 every 2 weeks. Anthony Gabriel, $3,144 every 2 weeks. Timothy John Hawkins, $3,285. Fang Hare, $2,860. Steve Herbert, $3,500. Kevin Johnson, $4,700. Tommy Kong, $2,800. Brett Knoll, $2,800. Scott Langner, $2,996. Todd Langner, $3,100 every 2 weeks. Johnny Lou, $3,100. Jason Marino, $2,800. Gerald Martin, $3,100 every 2 weeks. Glenn McCarty, $3,200. Alicia Metri, $3,100. Julie Olson, $2,900. Bradley Rensney, $3,300. Matthew Rood, $2,800. Michael Shortreed, $4,000. Joseph Stein, $3,683. William Sipnipsky, $2,785. Thomas Shapansky, $2,954. Paul Season, $3,000. Oh, okay, they're saying we're down to about 5 minutes. I could keep going here. Why don't I put a mark here? Maybe I'll finish this up next time. But you folks, you get a feel for, I got pages and pages here. Why Maplewood, why for $150,000 for campaign expenditures to buy your elected officials, and then give yourself 12% pay raises on those $3,000-4,000 every 2 weeks salaries. That's not a bad deal. You can see why I say $46 million over the life expectancy. Do we have a phone call, by the way? Let's take the call. Caller, are you with me? Question or comment?
Yeah, I have a comment, Bob. I'd like to thank you for taking the time. Once you get the facts and figures, you're not afraid to put them out on the air. I've noticed both the Pioneer Press